No disrespect to Mat Armstrong, I think he's doing amazing things. He's a great guy and all of that. Can't do that in a garage. There's just a few places in the world with the right equipment and only a few people in the world with the right training to be able to do that.
Bugatti engineers reportedly believed certain limits simply couldn't be crossed. Then, Mat Armstrong did something that left many questioning where restoration ends and invention begins. What started as an ambitious rebuild soon turned into a project surrounded by skepticism, debate, and growing fascination across the automotive world. Supporters called it a breakthrough. Critics argued it should never have worked at all. As the car took shape, even experienced experts struggled to explain what they were seeing. So, how did Mat end up challenging one of the automotive engineering's biggest assumptions? Dead Bugatti sparks? Impossible challenge. A crashed Bugatti Chiron Sport sits at the center of a story that begins with disbelief and ends with a challenge few would dare to accept. The multi-million-dollar machine, once admired for its precision and rarity, is now reduced to wreckage after a severe crash that left experts questioning if it could ever return to life again. It is officially declared a total loss, with insurance companies labeling it beyond economic repair and placing it into salvage status, where most supercars are stripped for parts rather than restored. From a technical perspective, even experienced engineers view the damage as too complex, pointing to structural impact and hidden failures that make a full rebuild appear nearly impossible outside factory conditions. This is where Mat Armstrong enters the situation, not as a manufacturer or official repair center, but as an independent builder known for taking on cars others have already given up on. Instead of seeing a dead end, he sees a possibility, even though the risks are enormous and the lack of factory support makes every step uncertain and technically dangerous. The challenge is not just about repairing a broken car, but about confronting a system where only the original manufacturer is believed capable of restoring such a complex machine. As news of the rebuild spreads, questions begin to form around whether this project is ambition or recklessness, and whether independent engineering can truly match factory-level control. Every detail of the damaged Bugatti becomes a puzzle, from crushed front structures to internal mechanical failures that reveal just how fragile extreme performance engineering can become after impact. For Mat, this is more than a restoration project. It is a test of skill, patience, and belief in whether determination can overcome limits set by even the most advanced automotive engineering. The decision to proceed sets the stage for a confrontation between human ingenuity and mechanical complexity, where every mistake could end the entire project before it truly begins. Yet, the deeper implication is already clear. This is no longer just about fixing a broken Bugatti, but about challenging the belief that such machines can only be restored by the company that built them. In that tension, between factory authority and independent determination, the story begins to shift from a simple repair job into something far more significant, a question of whether control over engineering truly belongs only to the original creators. As the first steps toward rebuilding begin, uncertainty surrounds every decision, and the outcome remains far from guaranteed. But the determination to prove that the impossible is not exclusive to factory engineers pushes the project forward into uncharted territory ahead, with growing pressure mounting. How does a car declared beyond repair return from silence? And who decides its fate when experts walk away? Can determination override engineering limits, or is this where ambition finally breaks? Let's find out. Factory silence shuts every door. The situation changes immediately when the reality of the Bugatti Chiron Sport rebuild collides with an unexpected barrier that has nothing to do with tools or skill, but everything to do with control. The vehicle is not only damaged, but also locked out of the manufacturer system through a VIN restriction that effectively erases it from official recognition. This means no Bugatti dealership will supply parts or offer technical support, leaving every repair path blocked at the source. As the implications become clearer, the scale of the challenge shifts from mechanical repair to institutional resistance. What once seemed like a salvage project now appears as a confrontation with the very structure that defines how hypercars are maintained and controlled. Inside Bugatti leadership, including Mat Armstrong, expresses concern about safety and feasibility, warning that the damage involves critical structural components that cannot be easily replicated. Official estimates suggest repair costs so high that replacement becomes the more practical option, reinforcing the belief that independent restoration is unrealistic. Dealerships remain firm, refusing involvement and reinforcing the idea that only specialized factory facilities possess the authority and capability to handle such complexity. Outside observers begin to question whether the project is even technically responsible or whether it crosses a line that independent workshops should never approach. Yet for Mat Armstrong, the refusal only sharpens determination, turning obstacles into motivation rather than deterrence. Every missing part becomes a problem that must be reverse-engineered or recreated from scratch. The situation reveals a deeper tension between innovation and restriction, where knowledge is controlled as tightly as the machines themselves. As the rebuild moves forward, the question emerges whether this is truly about fixing a car or challenging the limits imposed by the industry. Each setback reinforces the scale of the resistance, while also revealing unexpected opportunities hidden within the design itself. The locked system becomes more than a technical obstacle. It turns into a symbol of exclusivity and control over automotive engineering. And with every barrier encountered, the stakes rise as the project edges closer to either total failure or an outcome few believed possible. The absence of factory support forces the team to rely entirely on documentation measurement and careful disassembly to understand each hidden connection within the chassis and drivetrain systems. This process exposes how dependent modern hypercars are on centralized engineering networks that leave little room for independent intervention. As doubts continue to grow, the project begins to represent something larger than a single rebuild, becoming a test of whether determination can overcome systemic limits placed on innovation in ways never seen. With every system locked and every door quietly closing, the rebuild hits a wall few expected. Can he bypass the VIN lock, or is the project already over before it begins? And why would a manufacturer shut everything down now? Keep watching. Engineering solutions beyond factory limits. The rebuild shifts into a new phase as Mat Armstrong and his team confront a reality that no official manual can solve. With Bugatti support unavailable, every solution must now be created inside the workshop rather than ordered from the factory. What begins as a repair quickly turns into full-scale reconstruction, where missing components are no longer replaceable but must be reimagined. The team searches for alternatives, scanning damaged sections, measuring tolerances, and breaking down assemblies that were never designed to be opened outside factory control. Every missing bolt, bracket, and structural piece becomes a problem that demands invention rather than replacement. As conventional repair methods fail, the engineers are forced deeper into reverse engineering, recreating parts from scratch using precision scanning and machining. What was once a damaged hypercar now behaves like a puzzle, with every solved section revealing another layer of complexity underneath. Some components require complete redesign because original factory specifications cannot be accessed or replicated with standard workshop tools. This forces the team to rely on experience, intuition, and trial-based engineering decisions that carry significant risk at every stage. Even simple-looking parts reveal unexpected complexity, proving that the Chiron was built with far more hidden precision than expected. The project slowly transforms from repair work into experimental engineering, pushing the limits of what an independent workshop can achieve. As challenges multiply, doubt grows about whether the absence of factory guidance will eventually make the rebuild impossible to complete. Yet each small breakthrough reinforces the belief that even the most complex systems can be understood through persistence and skill. The workshop becomes a space of constant problem-solving where every decision has to balance innovation with structural safety concerns. With each stage of fabrication, the gap between what Bugatti designed and what the team can rebuild becomes more visible. Still, the absence of instructions forces innovation at every step, turning limitation into a source of unexpected engineering creativity. Each fabricated part brings the project closer to something that resembles a complete vehicle, even if uncertainty remains high. The deeper the team goes into the rebuild, the clearer it becomes that this is no ordinary restoration process. Instead, it is evolving into a test of whether independent engineering can rival the precision of a hypercar manufacturer. Every setback carries new information, and every solution raises the possibility that the impossible rebuild may actually succeed. At this stage, the project stands at a critical point where failure remains possible. Yet progress continues to suggest that what was once considered unrepairable may instead be reshaped through determination, technical skill, and the refusal to accept the limits imposed by factory restrictions themselves included. With every missing component forcing the team deeper into unknown territory, the project begins to change into something far beyond a simple rebuild. How do you recreate parts never sold? And where does engineering end when factory help disappears completely? Or does it even end? Stay glued. Inside the forbidden engineering breakthrough. The project moves deeper into territory that even experienced engineers believed was reserved only for Bugatti itself. As Mat Armstrong and his team begin dismantling the Chiron Pur Sport in ways that reveal far more than expected. As the car is carefully split apart, the team discovers that the visible crash damage was only part of a much deeper structural problem hidden inside the chassis. What first appeared as front-end destruction quickly expands into a more complex reality involving crushed mounting points, distorted alignment, and critical stress damage that cannot be ignored. This moment shifts the rebuild from a straightforward repair into a far more uncertain engineering challenge that demands complete reconstruction of key structural elements. With Bugatti's support unavailable, the team operates without official guidance, forcing them to reverse engineer systems never intended to be accessed outside the factory walls. The gearbox and engine mounting area becomes a critical focus, especially after signs of severe internal stress suggest that the impact forces exceeded initial estimates. According to earlier assessments, only specialized factory facilities were believed capable of handling such repairs, adding pressure to a project already under intense scrutiny. Yet, as disassembly continues, evidence begins to emerge that progress is not only possible, but steadily building, despite expectations that the car should have failed at this stage. The discovery of deeper damage also forces the team to question whether previous expert assumptions fully captured the true extent of what the crash actually caused. As repairs progress, every corrected component reveals another layer of complexity, suggesting that the Chiron was engineered with far more hidden precision than initially understood. This growing realization introduces doubt within the team, as each solution raises new questions about how far factory design rules can be stretched. Despite the uncertainty, Mat Armstrong continues to push forward, driven by the belief that independent engineering may still bridge the gap between theory and reality. The workshop becomes a space where uncertainty and innovation collide, as each new breakthrough brings both progress and the risk of sudden failure. At this stage, the rebuild is no longer simply about repairing a damaged car, but about proving whether independent engineering can match factory-level precision. The presence of critical components like the gearbox mount and engine support system highlights just how close the project is to either success or collapse. As the team continues working through structural challenges, the gap between what was once considered impossible and what is now being achieved begins to narrow. This turning point signals that the outcome of the rebuild is no longer predictable, and every decision from here carries increasing weight. The project now moves closer to a critical unknown outcome. How far can a project go when every expert said it should fail? Can a machine designed only for factory precision truly survive outside its world? And if the rebuild continues, who decides where impossible actually begins and what happens when it all escalates? Stay tuned. Momentum inside the silent workshop. After months of uncertainty and grinding fabrication, the rebuild of the Bugatti Chiron Pur Sport finally begins to show signs of real progress inside Mat Armstrong's workshop. What once looked like a scattered collection of damaged components slowly starts to resemble a functioning machine again, as custom-made crash structures are fitted into place with precision. These new parts are not sourced from Bugatti, but built entirely by the team, shaped through measurement, trial, and repeated refinement until they align with the car's demanding structure. Alongside this, fabricated cooling components are introduced to replace damaged sections of the original system, restoring essential pathways needed to control the extreme temperatures of the W16 engine. Every installation carries weight, because even the smallest misalignment could affect the stability of the entire rebuild. As work continues, reverse-engineered replacements begin to fill the gaps left by missing factory parts, proving that careful analysis and engineering skill can recreate what once seemed impossible to obtain. Each breakthrough, however, comes with its own uncertainty, as the team never fully escapes the risk of hidden failure within unseen systems. Unexpected engineering discoveries emerge along the way, revealing how deeply interconnected every part of the Chiron truly is, where one adjustment can influence multiple systems at once. The interior also begins to return to life, carefully restored to match its original design, offering a visual contrast to the mechanical complexity still unfolding beneath the surface. This combination of cosmetic restoration and structural rebuilding creates a strange balance, where the car looks closer to completion while still carrying unknown risks within its core. Gradually, critical systems are reconnected, and for the first time, multiple components begin to operate together as a unified structure rather than isolated repairs. This moment marks a shift in momentum, suggesting that the project is no longer just surviving individual challenges, but starting to function as a complete system again. Yet beneath this progress lies constant tension, because every success depends on the stability of earlier repairs that have not yet been fully tested under pressure. The workshop atmosphere becomes charged with both excitement and caution, as each improvement brings the project closer to life, while also increasing the stakes of potential failure. There is a growing awareness that even now, a single overlooked fault could undo months of work in seconds. This fragile balance between progress and risk defines the entire stage of the rebuild, turning every achievement into both a victory and a warning. As systems begin working together, the impossible starts to feel briefly within reach, but never guaranteed, keeping the outcome suspended in uncertainty, moving forward slowly. Months of reconstruction are finally showing signs of life, but something still feels dangerously unstable. Are the custom crash structures strong enough to survive real pressure? Has reverse engineering uncovered hidden flaws that could collapse everything, or is the team closer to success than failure? Stay with us. Impossible Machine finally awakens. The moment of truth arrives inside Mat Armstrong's workshop, as the rebuilt Bugatti Chiron Pour Sport reaches its final stage of assembly after months of uncertainty, setbacks, and constant technical pressure. Every system that was once broken, removed, or redesigned is now being carefully reconnected, turning a collection of fabricated parts back into a complete hypercar. This is no ordinary rebuild, because the vehicle was once declared a total loss after a devastating crash in Miami and officially locked out of Bugatti's support systems through a VIN restriction that cut off access to parts and factory assistance. Despite that barrier, Matt and his team pushed forward, recreating components, reverse engineering critical systems, and slowly rebuilding a machine that many believed should never return to life outside official factory conditions. As the final checks are completed, tension builds in the workshop, because everything now depends on whether countless individual fixes will work together as one functioning system. The first startup attempt becomes the defining moment, with silence filling the space as the ignition sequence begins and every eye focuses on the engine bay. For a brief moment, nothing happens, and the uncertainty grows heavier, as even the smallest fault could bring the entire project to an immediate stop. Then, against expectation, the engine comes to life, producing a deep and raw sound that confirms the W16 is alive once again after everything it endured. It is a breakthrough that changes the atmosphere instantly, turning months of doubt into a moment of validation that the rebuild has reached a level few thought possible. From there, the car moves under its own power for the first time since the crash, marking a shift from workshop project to functioning machine. The rebuilt systems, including custom radiators, a TIG welded gearbox mount, and even non-original components sourced and adapted during the process, all work together to make motion possible. As footage of the revival spreads, reactions from the automotive world begin to surface, with viewers and industry observers expressing shock at what has been achieved without factory support. Even Bugatti's leadership who once questioned the feasibility of the rebuild, are seen adjusting their stance as the results become impossible to ignore. Beneath the excitement, however, a deeper conversation begins forming around ownership, repair restrictions, and how much control manufacturers should have once a vehicle leaves the factory. The completed Chiron-Pur Sport now stands as more than just a restored hypercar, becoming a powerful symbol of what independent engineering can achieve when traditional manufacturing limits, factory barriers, and institutional constraints are pushed aside through determination, creativity, and relentless problem-solving in extreme automotive reconstruction projects. Yet even as it runs and drives again, the story leaves open a larger question about how far such possibilities can realistically go in the future and what comes next beyond it. So, what do you think? Did Mat Armstrong really prove Bugatti engineers wrong? Or is this just the most impossible rebuild ever seen? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insane engineering stories.